Also, the Quran says in chapter 23, verse 92, I quote, "He knows what is not seen as well as what is seen. He is far above any partner they claim for him." In other words, the greatest sin and form of injustice with regards to our recognition of Allah is the sin of shirk, to associate any equal partner with Him. But the greatest form of justice with regards to our recognition of God is Tawheed. The concept of Tawheed is also very much a rational and logical belief. The Quran comments on the conflict of interests if there were many gods or creators. The Quran says in chapter 23, verse 91, quote, "God has never had a child, nor is there any God beside Him. If there were, each God would have taken his creation aside and tried to overcome the others. May God be exalted above what they describe." Also, the Quran says the perfect order of creation is an indication that there is only one God, one Creator. The Quran says in chapter 21, verse 22, quote, "If there had been in the heavens or earth any gods but Him, both heavens and earth would be in ruins. God, Lord of the throne, is far above the things they say." In addition, the Quran says that every prophet preached Tawheed. The Quran says in the same chapter, verse 25, God speaking here in the royal plural we never sent any messenger before you, Muhammad, without revealing to him, there is no God but me, so serve me. So the basic teaching of every prophet was, La ilaha illallah, which is the statement of faith which Islam presents to us. There is no God except the one true God. Traditionally, Tawheed has been divided into three categories. Category number one, Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, meaning the unity of Allah's lordship. There is only one Lord and Creator of us all. The Arabic word Rabb, meaning Lord, implies dominion, creation and maintenance. Allah created everything. This is His creation and it belongs to Him. When the Quran mentions this aspect of Tawheed, it is taken for granted that most people already accept God, Allah, as the Creator. The denial of Allah's existence was rare. Even today, the majority of mankind believes there is a God. So there are only a few verses in the Quran which focus on proving this aspect of Tawheed. The main problem at the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was with whom people worshipped. In fact, the main message of all the prophets was not that there is a God, but worship the one true God. The second category of Tawheed, Tawheed al-Asma wa Sifat, which means the unity of God's divine names and attributes. His names and attributes are unique to Him, and they are not shared by anyone else. Once we accept that Allah is the Creator and that everything is His creation, it means that Allah's attributes are different from the attributes of His creation. We believe in His attributes based on what He revealed in His revelation, the Holy Quran, and it cannot be left up to the reasoning of human beings to determine the attributes of Allah. Because human beings can make up anything. I've heard a lot of strange stories from people that I work with. For example, we talk about God, and I remember one man said to me, you know, for all we know, God could be in this television right here. So human beings can make up anything. It's best to stick to the revelation which God has given us. The only valid source to determine who Allah is Allah Himself. He who knows Himself is better able to explain Himself to those who don't know Him. The Quran says, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. The translation is, say, God is the one. God is eternal. He begot no one, and nor is He begotten. And there is none comparable unto Him. The Quran also says, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ, which means there is nothing like Him. Quran chapter 42, verse 11. In this verse, God has given us a general and basic rule. It means that there is nothing like Him in His essence, in His attributes, and in His actions. He is completely unique. When Allah describes Himself, we take it literally. We are literalists, but we are not anthropomorphists. We do not describe Allah in human terms. We do not liken Allah's attributes to the attributes of His created beings, nor do we conceive of the attributes of created beings to be on the pattern of Allah's attributes. Allah is eternal, beginningless, the creator, the all-powerful, the self-sufficient, the independent of all. Allah does not rest, He does not sleep, He does not get sick, He does not die, and He does not incarnate and become a member of one of His creatures, whether it is a human, an animal, or a plant. He is transcendent, the Most High. He has no weaknesses or imperfections. Instead, He is perfect in all of His attributes. All other beings are the exact opposite. In fact, the Quran says in chapter 2, verse 255, this is called Ayatul Kursi, it says, God, there is no God but Him, the ever-living, the ever-watchful, neither slumber nor sleep overtakes Him. All that is in the heavens and all that's in the earth belongs to Him. Who is there that can intercede with Him except by His leave? He knows what is before them and what is behind them, but they do not comprehend any of His knowledge except what He wills. His throne extends over the heavens and the earth. It does not weary Him to preserve them both. He is the Most High, the Tremendous. So through this aspect of Tawheed, we come to know who Allah is and who Allah isn't. Category number 3, Tawheed al-Ibadah, which means the unity of Allah's worship. This aspect of Tawheed is the fruit of the first 2 categories. This is where we put Tawheed into practice. The main focus of the prophets was this, and this was the essence of their message. In fact, if we know that Allah is the Creator, that's category number 1, unity of His Lordship, and that Allah is unique, category number 2, unity of His divine names and attributes, then to seek help from anyone other than Allah would be foolish. So in this third category of Tawheed, we understand that we worship Allah because He alone deserves worship, and only He is worthy of that. He is the only source of our worship. Worship has many aspects to it. It involves calling upon God, Allah, for the things that only He can do, and not calling upon His creatures instead. Calling on Allah is actually the essence of worship. We have access to Allah directly, or by calling upon Him directly in prayer, without any mediators or intermediaries between us and Him, as the Quran says in chapter 2, verse 186, and chapter 39, verse 3. It is therefore against the teachings of Islam to call upon any dead relative, any deceased saintly people, any angels, or any holy prophets that have deceased from the centuries gone by, because by doing so, we are giving these created beings the attributes which only belong to Allah Almighty. Take the prophets, for example. They were great and holy men of God, and nobody disputes that. Yet, no matter how great human beings can become, they will never deserve our worship. Because, even if they become sinless like angels, that is because they will not possess the divine and majestic, perfect attributes of God, Allah. Instead, they possess created attributes like you and I. So, therefore, we do not worship them, but we follow their good examples and their teachings because God sent them on our behalf. In fact, it would be a major injustice if we stripped God from His worship and gave it to a member of His creation